And unbelievable developments today in the trial of Michael Valva, who's facing murder charges for the death of his 8-year-old son. Today, we learned there was a third adult living in the home. We want to get right out to our crime reporter, Krista McNally, who has the details. Big revelation out there.
That's right. Edward Concilio took the stand today. He is married to Angela Polina's cousin. And now he was living at 11 Bittersweet Lane 3 or 4 days a week at the time Thomas had died. And on that morning when Thomas died, he woke up and went to work as he normally did.
This man was living in that house for 15 months. He was well aware that those boys were in the garage in the wintertime and failed to do a thing.
Edward Concilio stayed at the home for 1 year and 3 months. He testified that Paulina was aggressive with the children and the disciplinarian of the children. Concilio said about Paulina, quote, "She would often fly off the handle." A trigger for her, he claims, was the boys' bathroom issues. As far as Dad, Concilio said he personally witnessed Michael Valva hosing off his son Anthony outside in his underwear when he was living in the home. He could not recall that exact date. Concilio said there was one time Michael became enraged over an issue with Thomas taking M&Ms and was yelling, quote, "If he wants to be a perp, I'm going to treat him like a perp." Concilio claims Valva was going to get his NYPD handcuffs to cuff the child, but he then calmed the father down. Meantime, the cousin-in-law said he saw signs of Thomas and Anthony living in the garage a few months after he moved in and saw them in there with tents and sleeping bags weeks before Thomas's death as he was dropping off Christmas gifts. Concilio brought up another instance when he heard of one of the boys knocking from the garage door, saying he had to go to the bathroom. And rather than opening the door, he texted Angela because he was afraid of her wrath, saying, quote, "I knew what the repercussions would be." The defense says this additional person that was in the home only furthers their argument that Michael did not think his son would die from the conditions he was living in.
Nobody, Michael Valva or anybody else, ever envisioned that those two boys would potentially or result in dying from being in the garage.
We also heard from Renee Emin, the school psychologist, who described how the boys would come in hungry with bruises, even looking gray at times. She described in detail how red and cold the boys' hands were, saying, quote, "I can't even describe it enough to give you a vivid picture. It's an image that haunts all of us." Now, she had said that Thomas had opened up a lot in one of the meetings that she had along with a CPS worker, talking about how his father had thrown a backpack and a pot at him, and how him and Anthony were often sleeping in the garage and were instructed to use the bathroom in the backyard. That's the latest from Riverhead. Krista McNally, News 12, Long Island.